Good morning, everyone. Today we'll be brushing up with EMG instrumentation. First one, we already learned that muscle undergoes contraction, either let it be voluntary or involuntary. That contraction is sensed by the electrodes. They pick up the myoelectric signals from the muscle through the electrode. They are getting passed to the amplifier where they get amplified. After amplification, they are passed further to filter so that the unrequired, not wanted or unwanted signals are filtered out, and specific bandwidth wavelength are passed further for the AD converter, where they are getting converted into visual or auditory display and displayed in the output system. So coming to electrodes, electrodes are nothing but they are the transducer devices which convert one form of energy into the other. Here in EMG, the electrodes are converting myoelectric electrical potential into the display purpose. So that is one form of energy, the action potential is converted into electrical form of energy. That's what the electrode has the function as. Types of electrode in the EMG are surface, fine wire dwelling electrode, needle electrode, and the ground electrode. Coming to surface electrode, they are used for NCV, that is nerve conduction velocity, and also in EMG. They pick up the signal from superficial muscle as well as group of muscles. Fine wire dwelling electrodes are used for study of small and deep muscle. Needle electrode are used for study of or to record the signals from single motor unit potential. This is the MCQ question, the difference between fine wire dwelling and needle electrode. Fine wire dwelling electrode are used for study of small and deep muscle, whereas needle electrodes are used to record signals from single motor unit potential. Coming to the last one, ground electrode. It is also a surface electrode, very important electrode which must be applied to provide mechanism of cancelling out the interference effect of external electrical noise. Now coming to amplifier. When we talk about amplifier, it converts the electrical potential picked up by the electrode to a voltage large enough to be displayed. Differential amplifier are preferred as they control unwanted part of the signals to be amplified. We have already been talking what is amplifier. They just convert, what they do is they just magnify. So this is what is written. Amplifier convert the electrical potential picked up by the electrode to a larger voltage so that you can see or hear the EMG output phase. There's one important type of amplifier, that is your differential amplifier. What they do, they differentiate what is needed and what is not needed, and what is not needed they don't amplify, they just reject them off. When we talk about rejection in amplifier, there's one term called as common mode rejection ratio, which is very damn important in EMG. What it does, we know common is common, it is common for every muscle, it has to be present. CMRR, that is your common mode rejection ratio, has to be present in EMG. So that is what is importance of common. It is one mode in the phase of amplification. Please remember, it is one mode in the phase of amplification. So common and mode are dealt. Now coming to rejection ratio. Common mode rejection ratio is a measure of how much voltage, how much is the desired signal voltage is amplified relative to unwanted signal. You want some 5% of the signal to be amplified. It is in relation to 95% of the signal which is unwanted. That is your 5 is to 95%. That is this is an example which is to be given in common mode rejection ratio. Now, what is the unit? How to measure common mode rejection ratio? Common mode rejection ratio is expressed in decibels, not percentage. It is expressed in decibels. A good amplifier should have common mode rejection ratio exceeding 1 lakh is to 1. Your 1 lakh here is wanted signal which you want amplifier to amplify them, and 1 is nothing but your unwanted signal. So a good amplifier should have CMRR to be 1 lakh is to 1. Even signal to noise ratio limit the noise. Please remember, even signal to noise ratio limit the noise. Now coming to filters. When we talk about filters, I already told it just passes on the signals even if they are amplified, even if it is already present common mode rejection ratio, the unwanted signals are removed by the amplification. Still some signals are passed to the filters wherein the filter signals out, removes out the unwanted signals. What are those signals? The movement of the needle, if needle electrode is used, the movement of the fascia, the signals picked up by the fascia, the signals picked up by the tendon, the signals picked up by your skin. So these all signals we do not need. What we need in our study is only signals picked up by the muscle, of the muscle picked up by the electrode. So there are two types of filters. One is low filters and one is high filters. Going by the name, low filters limit high frequency artifacts and high filters limit low frequency artifacts. Just remember these two. Coming to AD converter or the cathode ray tube, cathode ray oscilloscope. After filtering process, we know that there's some conversion because we cannot read the digital signs or the signals given by the computer, which cannot be read and predicted for some abnormality or normality. So we need some converter which converts the signal passed by the filter to the display unit. That is nothing but your AD converter or cathode ray oscilloscope. So now once the signal has passed from the filter, it reaches the cathode part of cathode ray oscilloscope or AD converter. What cathode does is it just converts the signal into the beam which is projected into output device on the computer, so that it is either a visual part or the numbers. Cathode ray oscilloscope is usually used when you want the output to be visual. AD converter has also a part of audio. AD is nothing but audio and display converter. It also has a part of audio, wherein some other device is used to convert the filtered signals into the auditory system. So the next part will be definitely the display unit, wherein you can either analyze through computer monitor, graph records, magnetic tape records, or your audio signals. Coming to EMG examination. In today's lecture, we'll be dealing only with normal motor unit potentials. Let's look into what are normal motor unit potentials. First point in normal motor unit potential is it represents the sum of action potential supplied by the anterior horn cells. Now, motor unit potential is also characterized by its duration, number of phases, amplitude, turn phase, and rate of rise of fast component. We'll look into these in detail. First, remember, when we are learning EMG, when a therapist wants to conduct EMG test on a patient, he has to know what is normal motor unit potential. So first we'll deal how does your normal motor unit potential curve looks. First part, that was factors on which motor unit action potential depends is duration. So let's look into first one, duration. The duration of motor unit action potential is measured from initial takeoff to the point of the return to the baseline. So first, when the graph takes off, when it returns to the baseline is your duration. It normally varies from 5 to 15 milliseconds. Shorter in children, longer in adults, and still further longer in elderly person. Second point, rise time. It is the duration of initial positive to subsequent negative. It is the duration of initial positive to subsequent negative. It indicates the distance of a needle from the muscle fiber. How far is your needle located from the muscle fiber? Rise less than 500 microsecond is acceptable. A greater rise time denotes the resistance provided by the investing tissue. How much amount of resistance is your muscle providing to the needle is the rise time. Coming to the third point, that is your amplitude. Amplitude is measured from peak to peak, that is the distance existing between peak to peak. It depends on the size and density of muscle fiber. If the size and density of muscle fiber is greater, then definitely amplitude is greater. Synchrony of firing of the motor units. If the synchrony is largest, then there are very many number of amplitudes seen. Proximity of the needle to the muscle fiber, the proximity of the amplitude is decreased in the graph. Age of the subject, muscle examined, and muscle temperature are the various other factors to determine the amplitude. Normally, amplitude lies between 200 megavolt to 3 megavolt. Coming to the last point, that is your phase. It is the portion of motor unit action potential from departure and the return to the baseline. The entire portion of the motor unit action potential from departure to the baseline. That is nothing but your phase. Usually the phases are biphasic or inphasic or triphasic. These are nothing but positive and negative phase. So usually it is biphasic, or maybe it can be triphasic, and sometimes it can be polyphasic, which will look into the abnormality. Frequency, just remember, frequency is only 5 to 15 per second. It should be less than 60 per second, or else it is considered abnormal. Evaluation of EMG. Now we learned how does your normal EMG look. Now what to evaluate in normal EMG? There are 4 stages to what to evaluate in normal EMG. There are 4 parts in the graph. First one, insertional activity. This is nothing but when you insert a needle into the muscle, there is something happening in the graph. That is nothing but your needle is piercing through the muscle membrane. That is seen as a activity in your graph known as insertional activity. When you insert the needle, the person is at rest there, so that insertional activity is only for certain duration. After that, there should be nothing seen on the graph. There should not be any positive or negative deviation in the graph. That is nothing but your rest. After resting, you have to ask the person to minimally contract the muscle, so that you have to visualize the difference between minimal contraction and maximal contraction. The last part is, of course, the maximum muscle contraction. Let's look into how does this look. I already told in insertional activity, first the patient is asked to relax the muscle. Needle is inserted into the muscle. At this time, electromyographer observes a spontaneous onset of the potential, which is possibly caused by needle breaking through the muscle fiber membrane. This is hence called as insertional activity. Now, this is how it looks. This lasts only for 300 milliseconds, after which it has to stop. First point, when you are writing insertional potential, it is spontaneous. It is rapid, spiky and biphasic activity. And third point is, it is a measure of muscle activity. That is, when a needle is inserted into the muscle, it breaks through the muscle fiber membrane. Hence it is a measure of muscle excitability. It is described as normal, reduced or increased. Now, I told you all that 300 millisecond is normal. It should be normal. Sometimes it can be reduced, which is considered as normal. Giving an example in clinical relevance, that when a person is standing and when you are measuring his EMG of gluteus minimus, the insertional activity is further reduced. That is, when a human being stand, he has to sway in anteroposterior as well as mediolateral direction in a figure of 8. We already know that. And gluteus minimus is an important muscle to control the sway, because it is a part of pelvic muscle groups. So now, keeping those 2 points in the brain, if you measure EMG activity of gluteus minimus in standing position, the insertional activity is further reduced compared to the 300 millisecond, which was considered as normal. Hence, we write a point that insertional activity is described as normal or reduced. In cases of increased, the muscle may be abnormal. Hence, the activity of EMG may be abnormal. Coming to the second point, the muscle at rest. We already dealt with what is insertional activity, after which the person is still not moving his limb, or he is not contracting his muscle. That is nothing but electrical activity. So what you should get in the graph? A straight line. Let's look into how it looks. First one is your insertional activity, which is normally seen as biphasic, spontaneous and spiky, and it is only for 300 milliseconds as duration, after which electrical silence is seen. That is the phase of muscle at rest. It occurs after insertional activity. Any potential rise during electrical silence phase is considered abnormal. Coming to the third part, minimal muscle contraction. So first one was insertional activity, second one was electrical silence. You have to ask this patient now to contract his muscle very minimally. This causes individual motor unit to fire. Let's look into how it looks. First one is your insertional activity. Second one is your electrical silence. Coming to the third one is your minimal muscle contraction. Here the person is asked to contract the muscle minimally. From where does the minimal, even if the muscle is contracting minimally, how the signals are appearing on the graph? On the graph, the signals are appearing because even if the minimal contraction is occurring, the individual motor unit is firing. Hence, this minimal muscle contraction phase is very important to analyze how individual motor unit is firing. These motor unit potentials are assessed with respect to amplitude, duration, shape, sound and frequency of the graph. Now, we know that this is also normal because we are assessing only single motor unit firing. There must be some set parameters for that to be normality or abnormal considering. So amplitude should lie of this graph within range of 300 to 5 microvolt. Duration should lie between 3 to 15 millisecond and the phase may be bi or triphasic. Sometimes polyphasic phase is observed, which may be considered normal. I already told you top that when we are describing EMG graph, it should be biphasic or polyphasic, and biphasic or triphasic. Polyphasic is considered abnormal, but sometimes polyphasic is considered normal. When it should be considered normal and abnormal? When the polyphasic phase represent more than 10% of your muscle output, then they are considered abnormal. Within 10% of the phase is considered normal. If it is greater than 10% of the muscle output, it is definitely considered as abnormal. Coming to the last part, that is your maximum muscle contraction. Sorry for the spelling mistake in the slide. It is maximum muscle contraction, the last phase. Here definitely, as the name goes, you have to ask the patient to contract maximally. First phase is insertional, second one is electrical silence, third one is minimal muscle contraction. The purple part is your maximum muscle contraction. Here you have to ask the patient to contract the muscle maximally with a greater effort. We already learned in the first video that greater the effort induced by the brain or by the muscle, number of motor unit firing is also increased at higher frequency until the individual potentials are summated and no longer can be recognized. Everything gets summated and hence the graph is projected. That is what is EMG. So when you are asking the patient to do greater effort, many number of motor units are fired. Hence the graph is visible. So this is nothing but called as influence pattern. This is called as influence pattern. That is, when greater effort is seen, increase in the motor units are fired at a higher frequency. This is called as influence pattern. This is a normal finding with strong contraction. This is the end of normal. How does your normal EMG look? Let's deal with abnormal potential in the future slides. Thank you, one and all.